we're back.
We are back.
I love it. I love doing this with you.
I love doing this. Man, don't make me cry. You know, I cry easy. I wouldn't do this, not this, with anyone else, but it has to be
glossy.
right. The eyes are glossy, really, literally right now. And I don't got the shades on this episode, so I can't really hide them. But you almost got me at the beginning of the last one, but they couldn't tell because I had the shades on. Y'all couldn't tell. But alignment.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah, this is full circle. And you know, what I love about this full circle, again, for those who are new joining us, this is just real conversation, real talk by two completely professionally trained clinicians. And we just deep dive on things that life brings about. And we bring it full circle, not just to us and our humanity, but to everybody else and what they're listening to. So I can't wait to get into it today.
Today's gonna be a good one.
I know. What's been going on for you lately? It's a new week. It's a new time period. Juneteenth is coming up. You know, we're in the spirit of things. What's been coming up for you lately?
Just success. Sitting in that, trying to understand what that really means. Trying not to rush through things and really allow God to lead me.
Yeah.
In this very moment, because you know you ground me, in this moment, God is just taking me and dragging me through these experiences in a good way.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, how am I here? I was talking to one of my best friends, or our best friend, Shanice, and we just both did something hugely out of this world, and we both like,
you did.
How did we get here? So just things like that, and those reminders are just like, wow. So trying to ground myself and taking care of my mind, my body, and my spirit, like that's where I'm at. What about you?
Man, joy.
Okay.
Like I know in the last episode we talked about gratitude, and one of the topics, because I've been doing a lot of things with maternal mental health.
Ooh.
And so, you know, Amethyst Counseling has birthed a community called the Mindful Mom Club. And through that, one of the things I've recognized is how hard it is for people to capture joy. And we think it's something that just kind of shows up naturally, but we don't realize we have to be intentional with joy. We have to recognize when it shows up, and we have to be willing to say, I'm going to sit here in this moment and not be anywhere else. And so, especially as it comes to my husband and my kids, like I have these moments where like, the laughter is just loud, and you know, I'm looking at these little details, and you know, their feet are getting bigger, and there's a new mole on the side of Marlo's nose, and I'm just like, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. With all the things I have going on in life, I said, you know what, I'm not gonna pick up my phone. I'm gonna allow this vision to be imprinted on my brain, and I'm just gonna be here. So whether it be I'm out with friends, whether it be I'm on the phone with you cutting up, or I'm just spending time with my family like a regular day that I know at one point is gonna be a distant memory, I'm trying to soak all that in.
Because I struggle with that. Because I multitask so well.
Yeah.
And it works in hindsight, but when it comes to, like you just shared, like this is gonna be a moment in time at some point. Like, what do you do to really cut? Because you cut off well. Like, what do you? I mean, I know you put your phone down, but it's like the internal piece. Like, what is that? Because I struggle with that.
You know, I practice what I preach. So you know, mindfulness is I'm the mindful Maya. Like that's my thing, and like life has showed me enough to know that everything is going to end at some point. And so I don't want to miss any of it. I want to bathe in it. I want to be like drenched in it because it's not guaranteed to us. So I keep that in the back. It's a little scary, but because that thought can grow and like take over you, and you've got two choices. You can either be like consumed with the fact that there's going to be grief attached to something, or you can bask in the blessing that has been given to you in that moment. And so like I'm obsessed with that. And so I'm just in constant reminder of, hey, recognize the opportunities, recognize the moments, like this feels good, like stay there. And so I just constantly try to engage in that, like be still, put my phone on D&D, not respond to text messages immediately. Those little small practices help me.
Is there some self-talk too?
Oh, 1,000%.
Okay. That's the part that's missing for me. Because I try to meditate at times, but my mind races. Like, even when I be praying, you know, like you see the little memes and TikToks, people be praying. It takes a long time to pray. So, because I'm so distracted, but I think I'm missing the self-talk. And that sounds so like elementary and so, you know, but that's really a skill to be able to self-talk. And I do it better, but I think I need to improve in that area of literal self-talk. I think that'll help me lock in more.
Oh, for sure.
I got the phone, lay down the phone thing. I have that kind of down pat.
Yeah.
But the self-talk of like, no, Greg, really lock in for real. I think that's what I'm missing.
Don't get me wrong now. My mind will take me on a ride sometimes. But I'm just like, one of the biggest phrases I've been telling myself is there's nowhere else you need to be. Maya, there's nowhere else you need to be. There's nothing else you need to be doing, literally. So why are you going there? And that's helped me a lot. It helps me, it brings me back down to the ground.
There's nowhere else you need to be.
There's nowhere else I need to be. Another piece that has been coming up for me a lot lately to help me like stay in those moments and lock in. I think I was telling you and another friend recently as we're talking about what we've been going through lately. I almost feel like I'm just now coming out of like the postpartum haze.
I heard you say that the other day and my heart just warmed. When you said that.
What warmed your heart about that?
Forget the script at this point. No.
Throw it out.
Throw out the script.
This is unscripted, by the way.
Completely. But no, because I've been with you like every single day with both of your kids. And to see the ebbs and flows. And you're a strong woman. You're a strong woman. But you also will let the people you love know today ain't it.
Yeah.
And you'll share that, and never in a rude way, ever. But to hear and see the shift has been beautiful to watch. And I heard you say it, because I feel it.
Yeah.
Because I work with you. But I heard you say, like, I'm coming out of it. And my heart just like, I was like, God.
And let's be clear, right? Because we want to educate people
too,
right? That postpartum is the time period after you give birth, right? Postpartum, which is very different from postpartum depression. I've been very blessed. I mean, throughout my whole pregnancies, I have prayed like, God, if it's within your will, please don't send me down that road. Please.
Please.
Because it's enough mental stuff to deal with. But postpartum is, just that overall insane adjustment back to normal life. And then postpartum depression is the depressive state or episode that comes within that postpartum period. So they're two different things. And I've seen a lot of people, especially on social, use those things interchangeably. But they're very different. And so, God bless, I haven't experienced postpartum depression. I've worked with a lot of women who have. But postpartum, it gets hazy because you go through an identity shift. Like, with Amethyst, I put my business on ice for 4 months.
You did. Y'all might have not known that, but I was running that thing dolo, and I was like, y'all like this. She was like, I got to.
Between you and the clinicians.
We held it down, too. We held it down. I see we held it down. Listen, but yeah, like, I had to run that thing.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and our office manager is just a godsend.
Shout out to Jira,
Shout out to Jira.
No joke. Shout out to Jira for real.
But to be able to trust the team in that time period, I don't think people realize the excruciating nature of building something from the ground up and then stepping away from it for 4 months. And then coming back and trying to remind yourself of who you are.
Yeah.
Like identity. Like, it brings me to what I hope we can deep dive into today, which is just identity, right? Like the fact of being, like who you know yourself or a thing to be, your identity. And so I think in just, again, leaning into my community, being with people who know me.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, you, Shanice, my husband, people are like, we've known each other since the early 2000s.
For real. Over half of my life, for real.
And so having people in your life who can reflect back to you who you are, I'm so much more grounded in like who I am, and I'm trying to really hold on to that, So let's kind of get into identity, but I think we underestimate the fact that as human beings, all of us at some point, maybe many, many times, are facing an identity crisis where, there's this real insecurity about who you are and like what you're supposed to be doing. And like, are you in this, Like, have you ever experienced that? Like, have you ever faced an identity crisis, and what was that like?
Right now. Are you kidding me? You see my social media recently when I go on rants about how I'm 40 and I don't went and said, we're 50 years old. And we're not quite 50. But
not quite.
Again, like it's an identity crisis. Even down to like, what do you wear?
Woo.
is this too young? Because I don't want to be the old man trying to look young.
Brother, you know you don't miss.
You feel me? I don't really miss too often. You see what I'm saying? Get the fit. You see the boot? That's why I sell boot down there. But with that, it's like you want to make sure that, again, I wouldn't do this with nobody with you. Shout out to my sister back there. Shanice, we see you. And having her here with us is making us cut up more, which I love. But no, identity crisis, because 40's the new, like, what did they say, 20 or whatever that is, but I physically don't feel like I look like the 40-year-old, but I'm 40 years old.
Yeah.
And I say it confidently because I'm okay with being 40. Like, we often go out, and even our going out.
Are you 40?
Not yet.
Okay, let's make that clear.
I ain't 40 yet.
But if you aging yourself, you're aging me.
Right. You're like, so what that mean for me? Nah, like, I ain't 40 yet, but I'm okay with going into 40.
Yeah.
And I think that I hear from a lot of my peers how they struggle with it. Like, I ain't 40 yet. Okay, but you're closer to 40 than 30.
Yeah.
And then the identity piece of, maybe it's easier for me to accept that because I'm okay with where I am in life. Some people like, I'm 40, but I ain't got this. And maybe that's the piece that people are struggling with. But for me, I'm content with where I am.
Yeah.
I'm content with where I am. And I think that I purposely, even on social media, I purposely say those things out loud to try to normalize, like, y'all, we're 40 years old. It's okay.
Yeah.
It ain't changing.
Right.
If you're blessed for God to keep you here, then it's a blessing to be here. So let's tackle 40 like we did 30. We was excited for 30.
Yeah.
Nah, we 40. People like, it's like, nah, we 40.
Yeah.
We 40. It's okay. So I think that, is there like this constant identity crisis type thing? Yeah, but I really feel like I'm on the other side of it, though. I don't like, because I ain't gonna lie to you, I don't like how my body feels 40. I take like at least 2 naps a day, and I've been blessed to do that, thank God. And I just went to the podiatrist the other day because my Achilles was tight. And I was like, because I run, running is my fave. Like, when it comes to working out, I lift, but I don't lift often because I get big quick and I don't want to get huge. But I like to run because it literally shifts my mental health immediately. But now I can't run for a month and had to get some Birkenstocks because I had to take out the pressure of my Achilles. Yeah. So I can't run for a month. So the physicality piece of turning 40, I don't like.
Yeah.
But everything else, I'm with it.
Absolutely. But and you bring up a good point, like, and we always talk about the body. You can't talk about your mental health. If your therapist is not at some point in time bringing up your body, asking you, well, how you been sleeping? How your energy feel? These things, because I mean, the body and the mind are one and the same, right? And so a lot of how our body feels plays into who we think we are or how we identify. Like, I think about my husband had recently had knee surgery because he plays ball. And, he couldn't work out for a while. And I recognize, like, what is the mental impact of that? Yeah. Like, someone who's super active and now they can't be active, right? And so... As we kind of begin to deep dive, let's kind of consider, like, identity, who we are, identity crisis, and maybe like how we break through that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And so one of the first things that I think about, especially working with clients, is I think it's more common than we know or than we think that people have no idea who they are. There's a video that I just love. I wish I could think of this person's handle, but this beautiful Black family, this father asked their son, like, who are you? And he's like 5 or 6. And he's like, I don't know who I am. He's like, who are you? He's like, I don't know. He's like, what am I? How do I know? And he goes, you know why it's important to know who you are? And he's like, why? He's like, because if you don't know who you are, people will tell you who you are. And that's where things get sticky. I'm trying not to
squirm in the chair. He told me that. Go ahead.
That's where things get sticky. And so I'm wondering, like, man, how do we deal with the constant messages, kind of similarly to our conversation with alignment, but different? How do we deal with the constant messages we receive that kind of inform us of who we are? Or better yet, what are the things in our life that we can, like, get a grip on that allow us to stay informed about who we are? Because, again, just like joy, just like, you leaning into the celebrations and the accomplishments of your life, this is something that we have to be intentional about. We don't necessarily wake up, even at the big age of 40, knowing who we are. We have to be in constant reminder of that. So in your work, like, what do you see with that? Like, what do you see when it comes to people understanding who they are, and really developing that identity? And then I'd love to consider what an identity crisis can do to a person.
In response to that question, the first thing that comes up in my mind is my men's group. Shout out to my brothers. I see y'all.
Come on now.
Because they rock with me every week, every Tuesday.
A year and counting,
A year and counting. Every week, 6:30, they locked in.
Wow.
On time, because they don't play. On time, they show up, and they're fully committed.
Wow.
And one of the things that I value about that space is that we do a lot of reflective work, a lot of emotional work, but then a lot of identity, too. I just put that together in this moment. Like, a lot of it is just understanding, like, who are we? Because, again, people can tell you who you are and how you should show up.
Yeah.
And those guys have kind of mastered the, I guess, perception of what a black man is. And they're like, but there's so many other elements in me. Like, I want to be more than a dude that ain't. I want to be more than some dude that got a lot of girls, some guy that has a nice job. Like, some of those things could be true.
Yeah.
But there are so many elements of me that people may not know, or maybe I don't know about myself. So one thing I love about that space is that I personally challenge each of them individually and as a group to really dive and understand, like, who are you really outside all this stuff? I don't care about your job. I don't care about how much money you make. I don't care about those things, because y'all have mastered that. Like, what are some of the insecurities? What are some of the shortcomings? What are some of those thoughts that you have that you don't really share with other people?
Oof.
And like, when I tell you, like I said last episode, I ask the tough questions. And I'll be honest, some of the things they bring up in that space, I'm thrown.
Wow.
I'm like, whoa. And to be able to, one, dig deep down and pull those things out, but also to share those in the group space, that's not easy.
Yeah.
Because as a black man, we don't have a lot of those spaces. Like, those spaces are normally, like, when black men hang out, not all black men, but essentially there's a distraction. There's a game, we playing cards, we chilling, drinking, some might be smoking. Like, it's a lot of different things, right? But it's never the sit down, we just having a conversation and we locked in. Now, I have a lot of female friends, a lot of women friends, and they tend to, like, women will lock in. It ain't no distraction, they're just talking.
Yeah.
We don't do that culturally often. It's always a distraction. So I said, let me bring what I've learned clinically, but also when I learned from my spaces with the women that I know, and bring that into a man's space.
Yeah.
So I think that really opens their mind up to so much more than how they're perceived by other people.
I love that.
Again, part two to your question is, it does bring identity crisis, because we were talking about the show Forever just last week.
Love it.
Beautiful
show.
Go watch it if you have not. Oh my God. And I'm not a big TV watcher, which you love TV. You and Shanice, y'all love TV. Me, I might slide in here and there, but I locked in, and one of the most emotional experiences that I've had while watching TV. I literally cried every episode. I was like, what the fuck is happening to me? And it's funny because I was just like, it was so fascinating to me.
Yeah.
So I asked the guys in the group, I think out of 6 guys, because there's 6 of us, 4 of them have seen it. All 4 said they cried at least one episode.
Wow.
I was like, and they cried for different reasons.
Yeah.
They're like, to see a beautiful black family, to see the dynamics of 2 different black families.
Right.
To go back to how my heart was broken the first time.
Oof.
To go back to, like, it was just the innocence of love.
Yeah.
And it was so many things. Mind you, these brothers are sharing this, and the innocence of love. I said, brother, what you know about that? So it was, again, beautiful space. And they're learning that there's so much more to me than just how much money I got, how fly I am, and how many girls I get.
For sure.
Because there's brothers in that group that get theirs.
Yeah.
But they're like, I don't want to talk about that. Like, I was sad the other week when I was watching Forever with my girl.
Yeah.
And I was crying in front of her. They ain't never happened to me before. So it's those things that I feel like are valued, and I feel like can be a challenge if you don't have the right support and awareness.
No, absolutely.
Long response, but I hope I kind of nailed it for you.
No, I think you got to how identity is developed,
Okay.
right? We think about identity, and I think about it being developed in 2 ways. You have internal reflections, which is what your group provides.
Okay.
And you have external influences. And what I love about Forever that honestly makes me emotional is the freedom that these families allowed their children to live with. Like, if you really go back and look at that show, and mind you, there was a point where, as parents, we want to guide our children in the right direction. Like, we want to, but there's a freedom that comes, an unhinged freedom, if you will, that comes with knowing who you are. And having the opportunity to do what you want to do and not what other people say you should be doing, or show up and be who you want to be. And not what, that whole thing. And so I think when we're considering identity, one of the first things that we have to, talk about is, what does the internal reflection look like for you? How do you even think about yourself? One of the things I see a lot in my clinical work is, people are mean to themselves.
Me. Me.
People are really terrible to themselves. They talk down to themselves. I've had a many session where I said, hold up now, sister. I can't let you talk about you like that. Like, do you hear how you're talking about yourself? Like, do you realize that this is maybe a habit, and yourself hears your voice saying these things about you regularly? What does that do for the faith and the security that you have in who you are? You know? And so we have to kind of consider, like, am I exercising care and compassion when it comes to me, first and foremost, right? Okay. I think that honors who someone is, regardless of how they stand up or compare to anybody else, number one. And then the external influences, right? So I know last episode we talked about, like, family, for example. Family can help you or hurt you.
That's real.
You know what I mean? And a lot of that
tear you up or drag you down.
Tear you up or drag you down. Take you through the ringer.
Take you through the ringer. With them.
And a lot of it is how we can so casually talk about family. Get your big self in here. It's like that little word. You think it's funny, but that's tearing somebody down. You know what I mean? Like these sorts of things. And so it's like, how are you influenced externally? And again, we talked about this last time, social media. Social media is
love, hate.
Tearing people up.
Love, hate.
Because it's making people question themselves. How do you stay locked in? How do you stay locked in with who you are?
Locked into what exactly?
How do you stay locked in
to who I am?
To who you are, And let's take it a step further, right? Sure. I think when you talk about external influences, you're talking from the ground up, which means from childhood on. Right? Our childhood impacts our identity. Our experiences in school and the accolades or the lack thereof, informs our identity. Those sorts of things. Like, do you feel like you know who you are?
Wait, what's happening? Nah. I've always... This is a vulnerable question. I'm going to go there, though. It's good. I've always did what I wanted to do. I always, and my parents gave me the autonomy, like, you make good grades, stay out of trouble, do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And my family has poured into me too, to where if ain't none of y'all rocking with me, they got me. So I'm good. And I have a strong family. So they gonna ride 10 toes. I also have very strong, affirming friends too. Confident friends. Yeah. Friends that'll walk into any space and it's ours. Oof. And when you are surrounded and rooted in that, you do what you want to do.
You love that too.
I love every minute of it. Let me get back on the mic. My bad. I love every minute of it because, again, it's a blessing to have that because I'm learning that that's not a lot of people's experience. Yeah. But I have been blessed and surrounded with people that really, really rock with me. And they got me. I ain't going to have them out here looking crazy. They know I got them too. So that loyalty, that reassurance, that the affirmations, and just locking in with me to where I can show up in any space. And, you know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of it is who I've been surrounded and grounded with and who I've kind of held on to. Sure. But then having the support and the confidence to do what I want to do. Yeah. And even in my accolades and my success, the goal is I want to do what I want to do in all arenas and all facets. Right. So I let that lead me. So when it comes to like, who am I think that's who I am. I do what I want to do. I wear what I want to wear. I say what I want to say. Like, I want to live a life where I'm sure of who I am, and you either gonna rock with it or you ain't. But I know that my family and my friends got me. Yeah. So that is kind of like how I kind of navigate it all in a sense. What about you?
Oh man, I feel the same. I think that a major influence for me has been that the people around me, my family included, like my dad, for example, is the most confident person I've ever seen in my life.
Ever since I known him.
Don't care up was back was down. It's this is who I am. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to wear. This is what I want to say. And that has been extremely impactful. I'll never forget we were going somewhere to like a dinner theater, and I was like, "Oh, Dad, what are we gonna wear?" And I'm young. I was really young, maybe early college or something. And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna wear let's wear our African attire."
Love it,
right?
Love it.
And I said, "Well, is everybody else gonna wear that?" He said, "Baby, you set the tone for how you are to be in these spaces.
That's it.
I don't know what everyone else is gonna wear. You set the tone for how you are to be." And so that has been the voice that has constantly run in my head. Like, you set the tone. If you feel like doing this today, that's what you do. If you feel like saying or showing up in this space or that way, that's what you are to do. You know?
So you're coached.
Indirectly.
Ooh.
There's been a modeling, that has taken place in my life. There have been things that I've seen that have informed me about what it means to live in a way that's true to your identity.
Nice.
So to that, because community is huge, the people around me have honored who I am. I think there are certain spaces where people show up and then the community that they've created questions them. And that's very dangerous because it can foster or cue an identity crisis. In other words, it can cause you to become insecure in who you are.
Wow.
And everyone's like, well, think about yourself. Like, turn in. That's so much easier said than done.
Yeah.
It's not just about internal. It's not just about internal. It's about external.
It's
too.
not just about internal. It's about external.
So it does matter who you have around you and how they make you feel and how they big you up and, how they say like, oh, you're doing what? Oh man, that's cool. Like, da-da-da, or what have you. So in terms of, do I know who I am? I absolutely know who I am. And motherhood has just elevated it. Cause
really?
Giving birth, you can't tell me I can't do nothing.
Let's go.
So for me, I'm like, man, and then I have these eyes on me now where it's like, I can't afford to not be myself.
It reminds me of my mom, who's a very confident woman. She would always say, don't play with me in front of my kids. And I can't identify with that because I ain't got no kid. But hearing you say that, it takes me right to that place. Like, my mom ain't never played with nobody, which I model that. Like, ain't nobody gonna ever play with me in no arena or any arena. And she would always say, don't play with me in front of my kids.
Yeah.
So seeing that and hearing it literally aligns.
Another thing, Greg, too, I don't want to have to keep up with stuff. Like, if you're not living or understanding who you are and then living true to that.
Yeah.
Again, like my dissertation is on imposter syndrome in high achieving Black women who are the numerical minority in their spaces, right? When you wear a mask and you're trying to be and you're trying to be anything other than who you are, now you assume the burden of having to keep that up.
Yeah.
It's
exhausting.
It's exhausting. I don't want that. I have too many things to do to try to say like, oh, who am I going to be today? Let me just show up like me because I don't have the energy to be anybody else. And so I think we have to take note of that in terms of identity as well. Like, regardless of what life throws at me, because that's what also cues identity crisis when we reach these massive obstacles and challenges in life that like say like, hey, you still who you are, or are you prepared to step into who you're being transformed into? That's another thing that motivates me. Being in constant connection to who I am is I don't want to have to keep up with anything else, So with that, I know we talk a lot about us, which is great, the humanity of clinicians, but let's hear a listener letter real quick.
Okay. Another listener letter. This is from, again, it was a long-winded brother, but I'll paraphrase.
Let's do it.
So he goes, my NG, peace and blessings. Okay, well, King.
Come on,
hotel. He goes, I'm a 41-year-old Black man raised in the South, currently living in, is it Mobile, Alabama? Mobile, Alabama. I'm a father, a full-time worker, and a faithful churchgoer. He's like, but lately I've been thinking about therapy. He's like, now don't get me wrong, church has been my anchor. I was raised to just pray about it, and that's exactly what I've done my whole life. Honestly, prayer has carried me through some of my darkest times, But now I'm realizing that there may be some things that I'm carrying that prayer alone will not fully unpack for me.
Mm.
Okay. He goes, there are things I never said out loud, not to my pastor, not to my homeboys, not even to myself until recently. It's like I lost my father when I was 12, and I've been trying to deal with how to be a man, what my identity looks like, and how to be strong, stable, and silent. And he's like, I keep hearing folks say black men need therapy, and I'm starting to believe that that may include me. But also, I kind of feel torn because, like, if I go to therapy, does that mean that my faith isn't enough? Does it mean that God's not showing up enough for me? I feel like I'm turning my back on my church and I'm turning my back on religion. He's like, I guess I'm writing to ask, can I go to therapy and still keep my faith intact? And what does that mean for my identity? And what does healing look like when you're rooted in scripture, but now you're wondering if God is also calling you to do something more outside of just leaning on him for help? Like, I always talk about wholeness. I want that. I really do. I really want to understand who I am as a man. And I appreciate y'all for listening. Let me know what y'all think. Because, again, I know that y'all will be honest and keep it real.
Wow.
Ooh,
Yeah. That's a big one.
that's a huge one.
You know, I think a major thing to point out is that faith is a part of who you are. It's at the core of identity a lot of times, what you believe in, right? And so just off the top, I think that the purpose God has for me is to be a therapist. And so, you know, when you kind of think about it from that angle, you know, a lot of times clinicians, they incorporate the faith of a person into the resources that they can remind them about or incorporate into their work, right? And so you can absolutely be a person of God and go to therapy. You know, God has put resources and tools here for us to utilize for our mental health, and therapy is one of those things. So the core of this brother's question is what?
It's, if I go to therapy, am I turning my back on God and religion? Because I've been trained to talk to God if I have an issue. You got an issue, go to the church. Now I'm kind of venturing off. In his mind, I'm venturing off to gain more support and insight from something outside of God and outside of religion. Is this wrong?
But that's the thing, right? Faith, if faith is a core part of identity, it's a part of who you are. It has to be a part of your faith walk and your identity journey, right? I mean, I think God, like, he puts us in positions to lean into these massive moments in our life where we have to just do our work independently.
Yeah.
And therapy is a resource for that, you know? So when you kind of consider this brother, you know, if he sat down in your chair, like, what would you tell him?
I think, like you said, therapy is an additional resource. And I often integrate, especially when I know that this is a faith-based client, I try to purposely integrate religion and scripture into sessions with clients because I'm also a faith-based brother. So I go to church often, and I actually go to a church where he's a huge supporter openly for therapy. He supports it. He goes to a therapist, and he shares that openly, which I appreciate because it kind of fights the stigma. And for him, if he were to come to me, a lot of it, again, integrating both, and then also kind of unpacking the family dynamic as well. Because I think that there's a deeper thing there because, again, I was raised in the church. I'm turning my back. Like, what ideals of religion and scripture and connection with God did you get from your family? And kind of not debunking it, but really challenging him to kind of think differently about it. Because, again, therapy is just an additional resource. Same thing with working out. Same thing with social activities. Same thing with going to hang out with your homeboys, going to hoop or whatever. Those are additional things that you can do to take care of yourself. This isn't an either or type thing.
Yeah.
So really trying to realign his brain when it comes to therapy, when it comes to religion and what that looks like, what that feels like, and integrating that into the process to make it less of an either or oppositional type experience and an oppositional thing. So I think that would be the start of it. And then whatever else comes from that would kind of be where I would go, because I don't want to get too clinical because you know how my brain works. But that would, again, initially be the start of how can we integrate these two different entities that really aren't that different.
Yeah.
So, but I do think, again, as a clinician, it's important to be able to understand what the scripture says, what it means, how it shows up in Black families, and being able to integrate that into therapy.
Right.
Some people can't do that.
You know, I think too what you say challenges the notion that therapy is a replacement for God. Therapy is not
It's
a
not a replacement.
replacement
Ain't
for
nothing
God.
replacement for God.
Ain't nothing replacing my
I
God.
don't get the mind either.
Look, we ain't gonna get on a ride
I ain't
here,
gonna ride, but ain't nothing replacing my God.
but no, this is a huge conversation, you
It
know,
is.
and I think first and foremost we have to start there. We have to recognize that no one's saying ditch God
Ever.
when you go to therapy.
Ever.
You know, therapy is a tool, it's a resource, right? You know, a lot of times your therapist may say, okay, well, how does your faith play a role in this? Can we utilize that to help you get from this place to that place? You know, and so if we're kind of coming from the ground level, especially if we're incorporating identity and faith, it's an opportunity to kind of strengthen your faith in a way. You know, how can I incorporate what I know to be true, what I believe in, into the changes that I want to make, into understanding who I am and myself and what that means for what I do and how I show up and all of those things. So I think there will be a lot of dispelled myths for this brother.
Yeah, that's the purpose.
You know, and ultimately it would strengthen, I think, his security and who he is as a person.
A good therapist will walk him through it. I think in addition to that, there are faith-based therapists as well.
Yeah.
Where they can really bring the scripture
Right.
in there with you. Now, again, I'm not faith-based in the sense of I ain't gonna be quoting scriptures every week.
Yeah.
But I know a little bit about it, or
Sure.
a lot about it
A
for
lot
sure.
about it.
I know a lot about it, but there are some therapists that are specialized in faith-based therapy. So
Right.
that would be a good resource for a client like him. Of course, I could see him, absolutely. But if he really wants a lot of that real clinical and the scriptural and the religious work combined,
Yeah.
faith-based would be the route to go. And that is a thing.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
How you bring it full circle? What's your full circle moment? We've been talking about identity crisis, faith, all these things.
My full circle moment was when you looked me right in my eyes and asked me, do you know who you are? I was like, why would you do me like that? And I sat there like, I had to readjust and reset and really think about like, yo, who are you?
Yeah.
And then I think that I live out loud people know who I am because you know who I'm with. And I tell people like, if I didn't want to be here, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I let that be known. And I'm everywhere all the time. But now I'm 50 years old. So with certain places I ain't going because I don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I had to work through that. So understanding who I am as a growing man is important, and knowing where I came from and knowing who got me.
Yeah.
I think that was a reflective piece I needed. And I was going to add to that, you ground people really well. That's one of your skills. You know, therapists have like their niches and their skills. One of your skills is grounding people.
I appreciate
that. Did you know that?
I would hope.
Okay.
You know, I would hope I can bring people back down to earth.
Like immediately though.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I mean, it's not something I've thought about. Again, I'm just showing up as who I am, brother.
you ground people quick. Like you can have someone lock in early, which I think is a great skill you have as a clinician.
Well, you know, I appreciate that, and one of the things I've held close to as a clinician is seeing people. And I think when you're able to see someone, then you can remind them of who they are, which is why it's so important who you surround yourself with, because do the people in your life, can they see you?
Can they see you? And do they respect you?
Do they respect you? And can they see you? And I think I've just been blessed with this skill through being trained of being able to verbalize that.
Nice.
So,
What's your full circle moment?
You know, the full circle moment for me is like when you are able to internally reflect and recognize who your external influences are and what those things are. No one can tell you who you're not. You know, I mean, when you talk about the letter, like it's like, it does make me wonder, like, wow, how secure are you in yourself if you think something like therapy is going to challenge what you believe in? No one's going to be able to tell me what I believe in and what I don't. You know, and so I think it's so critical to internally reflect, become grounded in that, and then reevaluate what your external influences are. You know, no one in your space should be questioning who you are, which doesn't mean that they shouldn't be challenging you, right, in some aspect. But when it comes to the core of you, your identity and who you are, you shouldn't have anybody around you questioning that or demeaning that.
That's real.
You know, and furthermore, like, release yourself of the burden of trying to be anybody else.
Yeah.
You know, just be who you are, and the people who are supposed to be around you and in your life will come, and the things that are supposed to be in your life will also come when you're true to yourself. And so that's a big piece, right? Internal reflections, external influences allow that to help you build security in your identity.
I love it.
Yeah. Wow. Another full circle moment.
Another full circle moment with Maya and G.
I love it. Well, look, I love this. This has been Full Circle with Maya and G. Cannot wait to continue growing with you and getting to know you. Till next time.
Are we out?
Yeah. This life will give you lemons and will give you lemonade. Just take the sour, mix it with the sweetness anyway. One thing about ingredients, they all inside of you. Maya and G just got the recipes for you to follow through. And when you do, pour it straight up to the top, toast it on up with a friend. Sit back, relax a little, laugh how you'll begin again. We know it's hard to move when it seems like you can't see, so go ahead and hit subscribe. Supplement your therapy with Maya and G. Yeah, it's Full Circle with Maya and G. Yeah, always for us and by us, never really about me. Come full circle with Maya and G. Yeah, this is Full Circle with Maya and G.